So, I was thinking about buying a lathe. I mentioned this to my friends. One of my friends knew someone else who was selling a lathe, this one, and it had all these bits with it. And they said that they could deliver it. It looks like this. That's not rust, that's grease. And so they did actually deliver it onto the floor of my workshop. I plugged it in and nothing happened because the emergency stop switch was loose and fell off in my hand. I peered down in the hole and the actuator was loose on the inside, so it was time to pull it apart and see what was on the inside.
So you know what we say here on the EV blog, don't turn it on, take it apart.
So I took the back off and had a quick look inside. Here's the emergency stop switch actuator, and here's one of its retaining screws lying on the circuit board. This is what the emergency stop switch is supposed to look like. I fixed it back in place again and secured it properly. While I was in there, I noticed on the left hand side the switch for the safety guard was in fact in multiple pieces. I decided to remove this. I don't need the safety guard on this machine. So, at this point the lathe was still sitting on the floor and it was time to move it, so I had some casters from an old vacuum cleaner and I fixed them to the bottom of some wood, and I jacked the lathe up off the floor using chocks of wood and long levers, and I put it onto the trolley. And the casters exploded. It was highly entertaining. Then I had to get some more casters and make a better trolley, and I moved the lathe onto the better trolley. Next, I knocked together a design for a table for the lathe to stand on because it didn't come with a stand. I used carcassing timber because it was cheap and very, very strong. I simply chose the dimensions for the table to be exactly the same size as the oil tray that the lathe came with. And next, of course, I had to move the lathe onto the table. So I'd borrowed a chain hoist from a good friend and I designed and started building a gantry. This is the idea for it, knocked up in 123D design, and yeah, it's got shelves on one side, the wall on the other, and it was made out of old timbers from the garden and some of the carcassing timber. So the first thing to do was to get some verticals in and then get some horizontals down and then put some bits of plywood down to keep the thing at right angles to it, and then get the main cross member across, and then get lots of heavy screws in and make sure everything was vertical and horizontal and so forth, and then get a great big chain hoist hanging from it.
A few moments later.
And basically, after a short few moments of pulling some chains, the thing was on its stand. I didn't take any video of it because it was bound to go wrong if I did that. But it went very smoothly, and I'm very grateful for Andy for lending me the chain hoist. And the next thing to do was to disassemble the gantry and shift all that stuff out of the way, and then to clean the lathe up and to reassemble the bits back onto it, because I'd taken everything off that I could unbolt to make it lighter. Next, I bought a cheap set of carbide insert lathe tools and some feeler gauges to use as shims, so I could set the tool height exactly and set them up so I could do some turning. So here we are in a rainy shed with a temporary light fixed just above it because of the lack of lighting at this end of the room, and here's the new lathe tools, cutting tools. So yeah, let's try it out. switch off. And if I wanted a chamfer on the end, not perfect, but that would do, entirely adequate. And that is it, a working lathe.